Hello again, and welcome to the Richard and Judy Book Club, exclusive to W.H. Smith. And the book we're talking about today will actually sort of strike fear into the heart of every young mother who's just embarked on parenthood, really. It's called Everything and Nothing by Araminta Hall. It's a debut novel, and it's fantastically written. Araminta's here now. I really thought it was, what I loved about it, the writing is so vigorous. You know, it's completely, it's very strongly written, completely. And just to sum up the story, it's about a young couple who, like so many other young couples, are sort of struggling to pay the mortgage and all the rest of it. They're both working in very high-powered, high-pressured jobs, and they've got 2 young children. And really, especially the mother, she's not enjoying having the children at all because she's so overstretched. So tell us then about this nanny who comes into their lives, Agatha.
Well, I think sometimes when you're working and you've got young children, you sort of long for someone to come and help you sort of feel like there's going to be a magic answer. And she seems like that, but obviously she's got a much darker side, which I can't. But actually, I think I wanted to. The reason I wanted her, I started off writing the book wanting to write about parenthood and working and all that sort of dilemma. And I sort of felt that I needed another character to
drive it.
Throw a spotlight onto their relationship or something. And then actually, I found myself getting so interested by her as a character and sort of. I'm really fond of Agatha. I mean, probably most readers
Despite what she does.
Yes. I just feel like she is a very. I sort of almost found her the most interesting character to write.
Well, she's the most damaged, isn't she? She's the most damaged.
Exactly, and she's not. I don't think she's to blame for
what she does.
Well, let's just sort of go back to the plot a bit. I mean, what happens is Ruth and Christian are the young couple here. They've got 2 little children. Betty, the oldest, who won't sleep at night. She just cries and cries and screams. And the youngest, Hal, who, although he's nearly 3, isn't he? He's nearly 3. He won't eat, and he won't talk. He's still on bottles of milk, and this is driving particularly Ruth, the mother, mad. Because she feels so guilty.
It's all to do with guilt.
It's all to do with guilt.
And also, their house is chaos, isn't it? I mean, there's never any housework done. It's a bit like we used to live when we were doing this morning, to be honest.
It's how everybody lives.
You get home to a nightmare.
In the middle of chaos, So then Agatha turns up. They've just lost their nanny. Things are even worse. And Agatha turns up. And at first, she seems absolutely perfect, unbelievably perfect, actually, which is the truth. But she brings magnificent order to the house. Suddenly, everything's clean and tidy.
What Judy's saying is, can we have her name and number? Have you had
a few of my friends have said that, actually.
have you had somebody like that in your life? Because you've got children.
No, I've got 3 children, and I have never had a full-time nanny. I've always worked around the children. I mean, now, for the past sort of 3 years, I've had amazing childminders who I trust so much and are incredible. But it's a totally different situation, obviously, because, well, my oldest 2 are at school, and then I drop the little one at the childminders, and I pick her up at 3 days a week. So I have 3 days a week where I have from 9 till 3.
Well, this is totally different because the kids are too young to go to school, and Agatha lives in. She's got a room at the top of the house.
Agatha lives in, and she not only does she transform the house into beautiful order, she cooks, she bakes biscuits, she gets hold of the cheap, even plants a vegetable garden for the children, which they love, and the children themselves respond to her amazingly.
Because she's able to give them the attention that the parents can't because they're at work.
But I think that she's not meant to be the answer to childcare. She's meant to be.
I should hope not, considering what happens.
Exactly, no. But I mean, I think that she is. She is too perfect, and I think that, as you know, that would ring alarm bells for most people. And I think also that it wouldn't be very good for children to be given everything they want at all times.
You write very well about the dilemma that so many working mothers feel when they do find a good nanny, and then they get jealous of them. Because they come home from work and the child increasingly wants to be with a nanny rather than the mother. And is that something you've experienced with this childminders?
I mean, my daughters absolutely adore my childminder, and I have. There's a bit in the book where Ruth has to pull Hal off Agatha, and it's never happened to that, but I have a couple of times picked my daughter up, and she's been like, no, I want to stay with Lucy.
And do you feel the twinges?
No, I don't actually, because I mean, I'm with my children more than I'm not with them, and I also I just believe that I believe so strongly that you know, mothers should have their own life, and that makes them happy and better. If I, you know, if I was at home all day, I would be a pretty awful mother.
You're right, very well, actually. About there's a conversation that takes place between Ruth and a friend, and she's saying, "I've got to tell you, I'm jealous of Aggie. She's better than me." And the friend says, "What do you want?
Yeah.
You wanted the perfect nanny, now you've got it. What are you moaning about? What are you complaining about?"
But I think it's that thing you don't want, you know. You don't hope your children are going to love anybody more than you, I suppose, and it's just that sort of. I think it's that sort of.
I think what happens in the book is that Ruth starting. I mean, because there's also this complication that Christian, her husband, who's a sort of quite a big shot television executive sort of person, has had an affair in the past couple of years, which she's kind of sort of come to terms with, although it has actually substantially damaged their relationship, and then it looks as if he's sort of getting involved again with this girl, and so there's huge tensions between the two of them, and Ruth especially as first welcoming Agatha, and then gradually beginning to realise there's something not quite right about Agatha. She's too perfect, she's too attached to the children, especially the smallest one, and as a reader, you know that something terrible is going to happen. You just know it's sort of creeping suspense all the way that something really terrible is going to happen.
By the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And when it happens, when it all kicks off, beautiful passages there. Oh. It ends in there is a tragedy. We won't say what it is, obviously. Was it always going to end that way?
No, not at all. I didn't want it to end that way.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't. I mean, it was literally. I suppose I can't say too much about what happens.
No.
I knew it. I wanted it. I knew that was going to happen, but I didn't plan the ending that Agatha had. I sort of realised it was going to have to happen as I was writing it, and I didn't know. I didn't really know how it was going to end. It was
you're a debut writer. This is your first novel. You're a journalist by training. You used to write for magazines, things like Bliss and stuff. People will want to know, how did you get published? How did you get this first one off the presses?
Well, I did an MA in creative writing 5 years ago, which really was amazing and helpful, and sort of made me. It taught me completely how to sort of edit and how to tell a story, really, without. I think there's a lot of. I think I was just doing a lot of waffling before, not really telling a story, and then and it also taught me to be a bit ruthless. You know, I remember my teacher saying, you just have to exploit any content you have or don't have, make them up, and I did just contact someone at HarperCollins who I was so lucky read it. I didn't have an agent or anything, and they read it and they just liked it. I mean, I think that's the other thing, is it's so important to find someone who loves your book and who publishes books like that. You have to find out who publishes your book.
One of the things that obviously stemmed from your own experience as a journalist with the magazines is a wonderful, wonderful episode when Ruth, who also writes for women's magazines, has to go out and interview this seemingly perfect, actually sickeningly perfect woman with her perfect children and her perfect husband in her perfect home. And she interviews, and this woman's going on and on and on about how wonderful everything is and how her life is just fantastic. Meanwhile, Christian, her husband, who's gone with her, is walking around this farm place with the husband, and actually the husband is saying everything's awful, everything's actually she's awful, the woman's horrible, and I love that, because any journalist, including television journalists like us, has those experiences, and it's brilliantly written.
Oh, thank you.
In fact, the whole thing's brilliantly written. It's really good, Araminta. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much indeed. And if you want to find out more about the author, about her lovely book, and indeed all the books in the current tranche of the Richard and Judy Book Club, you simply go to whsmith.co.uk/Richard and Judy. And thanks for watching.